失ってしまうのかな薄れてゆく笑顔と君を守りたいから
Here without regrets, it is I, Mathwiz. Crafts. Yes. I regret everything now. I'm Craftstorm. This is Mathwiz, and we're back with the Nen Show. You missed us. I missed you. So, and I will prove how much I missed you by responding to comments. So, lots of clarifications, lots of marked spoilers. Good job. I don't think I got spoiled on anything that I wasn't going to get spoiled on in this chapter is like a certain cat's gender, and the one thing I already knew, that I may have heavily implied last time. Wink. But yeah, one such clarification was, Austin Case corrected me on, I pronounced it Tite Kubo because I'm like, oh yeah, T-I-T-E, that's Japanese syllables, Tite. Apparently it's actually supposed to be pronounced tight, like a word for cool that's not cool anymore. Like, oh yeah, that's tight. Do you remember that, Mathwiz? How old were you when that was the thing?
I remember it existed at a time.
Okay, that's okay. I'm like, how old am I? Oh God. Yeah. It's not cool anymore, so I'm probably gonna pronounce it Taito Kubo because it sounds cooler than tight does now. So yeah, just a little clarification. And yeah, a bunch of people pointed out that because I was like, oh, this is a mistranslation. Yoruichi is actually a girl. But they keep calling it Mister. But that's the joke. It's as we see in this stretch of chapters, which is such a fucking trend of, oh yeah, here's a thing, and then next stretch of chapters, oh, I was wrong. So, yeah, do you have any comments?
There was a comment, by, I lost it. There it is, by Mohammed Anwar. Mm-hmm. He said, how would you guys stack up Ichigo against his big three counterparts in terms of character? So I'm just going to kind of go off of, obviously what I know, like, at this point of the story. So for now, I'm going to ignore the rest of Naruto's character and the rest of the story. And because I've only read 3 volumes of One Piece, I feel like I can make an accurate comparison of the 3. Yeah. Yes. If I had to rank them in terms of character...
from just the first few volumes.
Yeah, from just the first few volumes. That was around the time when I was still pretty invested in Naruto as, like, the underdog sort of personality, but... I don't know, Luffy is also pretty cool in how just, like, what's the word I'm looking for? And just how, stupid, maybe? Is that what I'm looking for?
Sure.
How just, not, maybe ignorant is the word, because he doesn't, I don't know. But I would definitely say that Ichigo is at the bottom of those 3, like.
Oh, even early on, oof.
Yeah, even early on. I mean, I think it's just that he's not a character archetype that I particularly care for as much.
Okay.
Like, with Naruto, he's the underdog, so that's cool for me. With Luffy, he's kind of, like, gone in that he's just, he's naive, but also he I don't know, I think Gon was a little less offensive, but with Luffy, that's kind of charming with him.
Okay.
And it's not that I dislike Ichigo at this point in the story, but he just, I don't know, he just doesn't appeal to me as much.
Okay, because I definitely see what you're saying, because I mentioned in the Naruto one that, like, Naruto is a character in an archetype I do enjoy, and Luffy is kind of the perfection of that archetype. Like, Luffy's, like, as far as the whole series goes, Luffy's, like, legit one of my favorite characters ever, but, like, try and limit it to the early volumes. See, I can't, I'm not sure if I could, I still have to ignore Luffy because it's just like, I don't know how much of his character really shines through in just the early volumes, but Ichigo, I'd say, is more, like, he's definitely more enjoyable than Naruto, like, in going by early volumes, I wouldn't, like, there's mostly, like, Naruto's failure for his backstory to really show in the world, just outside of the backstory, so I'd say, I'd put Ichigo above Naruto, just going by the earlier volumes, like, for the series as a whole, like, Naruto definitely has more interesting, he's definitely more well-written in part 2, and I have no idea where Ichigo's character goes from here, because that's also a lot of where my opinion on Bleach is kind of right now. It's like, okay, well, where does it go from here? Like, I still have more comments to respond to, but, yeah, I'll continue on that line of thought when we start, but, oh yeah, in case you noticed the title, we read up to chapter 118, yeah, well, last time we said we were going to read to 100, so I apologize if you have to pause and do further reading, because, basically, the SSJ Shinigami told us, I think he was even the one who suggested the chapter 100 division, because he was like, oh, that's like halfway through, and then I read up to, well, he also suggested 118. He was like, this might be better. And I read up to both points, and I was like, yeah, 118 is the best. Well, he actually said 119, but I read up to 119, and I thought 118 was better. So yeah, so this is like, also, honestly, kind of the worst case scenario for reading is we say, read this much, and then, well, we say, oh, well, actually read this much. Like, if we went the opposite way, like, oh, we're reading up to chapter 88 instead. Like, that's actually easier, because, like, oh, well, I read a little extra, so I'm ahead for next time, but I'm behind, but now you're behind this time, so I do apologize. Hopefully it won't be, like, 18 chapters isn't too bad, like, it's, what, a couple volumes, so it's still a bit, but it's not that much, I hope, so, still, apologies, we're just doing the best we can with a series we haven't read before. Go ahead, Mathis, with another comment.
There was another comment here by Harin Sane, double exclamation point there at the end. They said that in manga form, they thought that Bleach's fights were a lot easier to follow than Naruto's. But I know for me, at least maybe not so much with the first stretch of chapters, but with this bit, I was having a bit of difficulty trying to follow along with what was happening. Just, okay. I think with the way that... I didn't
feel that way myself, so maybe we'll actually see that when we discuss it. Because there's some really striking art these chapters, especially one moment, which is probably my favorite battle this stretch of chapters, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, I do feel like Kubo has... I mean, I do like Kubo's art, but one thing I've noticed is that he doesn't quite have... I think Kishimoto is... I like his, like, maybe shot composition better, because he'll do a lot of interesting things with...
yeah, well, we've talked about how he sort of takes cinema into his style, which is... it's definitely a unique way to not a different way to do manga. So, I have two more comments. Well, this one's more of a Nensho comment. Joshua and exclamation point asks how we choose our Nensho blocks. So basically the idea is that a theme is picked, and then the two of us pick from our list based on that theme. So just I guess a preview for what we're doing after One Piece is we're going to have a new school block and an old school block. I don't know which we're going to do first, but for like the new school block, we'll each choose a newer series, something that's more recent, that's also more than 10 volumes long. And for the old school block, we'll choose something like older, by whatever our definition of older is. So it could be like Dragon Ball or Saint Seiya or Fist of the North Star, something, yeah, that kind of thing. So like those are example themes. We might also do it by like a genre. Is it sci-fi? Is it historical? I just reminded myself, Kingdom isn't on the list anymore because it's actually seinen, and no one told. I think people just wanted us to discuss it, so they didn't tell us it was seinen. So I'm like, oh, but it's because it ran in the same magazine as Tokyo Ghoul, and someone corrected me as like, oh, Tokyo Ghoul is seinen, so it's not. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take it off. But no one corrected me on Kingdom, and I'm like, oh no, because I wanted to read. That was like my most anticipated one because it was like really well liked, but it's not even shonen, so it doesn't even work. But yeah, so do you have any more comments?
No, I think that's good for me.
Okay, the last one then. Orchid Bay asks do you think Ichigo's lack of a future goal, like especially when going back to the Naruto Luffy comparison, do you think that might be a problem in the future or even now?
From what I've heard about Bleach, I can definitely see that being an issue, how it kind of, or at least from what I've heard, like after Soul Society, or maybe it's after the next arc, it becomes pretty cyclical and that thing's just, the same formula kind of repeats itself.
Yeah, I've kind of heard the same thing.
And yeah, I could definitely see, Ichigo not having obviously, Naruto wants to be the top Hokage person in his story, yes. And Luffy wants to be the top person in his story,
okay,
but
that's better. Yes.
Ichigo doesn't really have something like that.
Yeah, and it gives those stories direction, but the thing with Ichigo is, like, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, it just depends on how his character gets explored. Like, it's fine, having him be more reactionary makes it just less of a character-driven story, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do like character-driven stories because I like characters, I like character interactions. So, in the long run, that might keep me from enjoying Bleach as much as Naruto or One Piece. But that doesn't mean it has to be bad, just because it's not doing this one thing that I happen to like. So, it really depends on where it goes from here, which is what I was saying earlier, and which is how I'm going to segue neatly into the discussion, because I actually want to talk a little bit about not the first chapter of the new stuff, but the last one of the later chapters of because there was that scene we thought was really fucking weird when Ichigo is fighting Renji and he suddenly gets like a power boost and he's like really stronger and it's like weird. So someone in the comments actually, why didn't I write it down? I'm terrible. But like, well, because I noticed the string getting like weird or broken, and I thought that might have been the thing. Mostly because I remember in Ushio and Tora, where the main character's spear had like a cloth around it, and he lost some of the cloth, and his spear got stronger because it's like a sealing thing. So I was like, maybe that's it. But I guess it has nothing to do with it. But one thing I did notice, like glancing through, is that Renji says like he was dying a moment ago. Where did all that spirit energy come from? And it turns out that that's like a mechanic of like die. It's a Zenkai kind of thing. We find out that out later. So I guess that explains it. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up.
It's a trend.
Yeah, I know. It's off the top of my head, Dragon Ball and Shaman King did the exact same thing. So it's definitely a trend. All right. So anyway, into the actual discussion. Ichigo died, and the series is over. Thank you for listening. No, he's fine. He gets rescued by Urahara. Oh yeah, Ishida left on his own, and basically, Urahara agrees to train Ichigo. So because he's basically like, you saw how fucking poorly you performed. You're not gonna be able to do shit in Soul Society. So he gets to do his training arc while. Well, and then we see Orihime and Chad are doing 1 too. So
I just remember reading the early portion of this arc, and I was like, I hope it gets better, because this was another sort of slow start.
But the fucking teacher, she's like, "All right, kids, come back alive," and I'm like, "That's oddly specific of you to say right now, especially." But yeah, there's a bit more comedy where it's like, what's his face, Asano, or the dude he wants to do the summer. Okay, yeah, it's summer. Let's go summer vacation stuff, and everyone's like, no, we can't. And he's like, oh, and that's sad. But yeah, Ichigo, Orihime supports his decision, and of course Ichigo goes to train. So, oh yeah, I guess there's a cutaway we get a brief glimpse of Soul Society when Renji goes in to see Rukia. But yeah, I guess there's not much to say there. So I guess we could just talk about the training arc, because there's a few stages to it. But I don't know, what did you think of Ichigo's training?
This was a slog. I mean, I guess there's nothing. I don't know. I was trying to compare this, at least for the discussion, comparing this to something like the training bits in Naruto. I guess this would be around the same time as the summoning training, and I don't know, something about this just didn't really click for me.
Well, I mean, there's the humor aspects, like with the Ururu, and like, oh, she's a cute little girl, but she's actually really fucking strong. That joke never gets old. I actually didn't mind it. It sounds like I'm being sarcastic. Oh, and there was a little gag where he's like, or Ichigo says, well, they were talking about how they used their technology to build the training chamber under their store, and Ichigo's like, is it your policy to ignore customers so that you can advance the story? And I'm like, Ichigo, stop being meta. But yeah, like, I mean, as a training arc, I guess it was I guess it's supposed to be more like the world building training, like sort of this is how, because I mean, I imagine it's like, but even then it's like, this is kind of very specific. Like, this is like humans becoming Soul Reapers, and I don't know, do these mechanics happen when an actual Soul Reaper tries to become a soul, or a soul becomes a Soul Reaper? Basically, I'm not sure. So, but like we learn a bit more about the chains and how when one's severed, that's it devours the host, or it devours the chain until the hollow is formed. And then stage 2 is him trapped in the hole in which he nearly became a hollow, which I feel like is gonna be, well, that fucking mask, that fucking, you know what I mean? The, like he kept discarding it, but it kept coming back to him and shielding him from blows, and I'm like, this mask is creeping me out a little. But yeah, it's like, as far as character moments go, I'm not like getting a whole lot new from like Ichigo's character. And I mean, I'm pretty sure the hollow stuff is definitely going to come back again. It's already come back up several times, so I don't know exactly how it happens, but it keeps happening. then and then he trains with Urahara for a bit, and he's still just really strong. He's still trying to get a grasp on his power, but yeah, other than that, it's like, what's there to take from this?
Yeah, the thing with Ichigo is that, I mean, to I guess compare other training arcs, or not even training arcs, but just training.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I going with that? I don't know where I was going with that. I just lost my train of thought. There's just not really much I have to say about this. It wasn't that the training was bad, but I don't know, just nothing about it. It's like, okay, it was training, it happened, but there wasn't anything like you said, there wasn't a character moment to get attached to. There wasn't because of the power system in Bleach, there's no real learning of intricate mechanics or anything. So I don't really have much to say about this part. It was
there's more interesting stuff going on later, but yeah, it's just kind of I mean, I wonder if part of it's because he already was a Soul Reaper, so now he's becoming one himself. Because that was one thing I noticed earlier, because Byakuya attacked the part of him that there's an organ almost that gives you your Spirit Reaper powers, and Byakuya destroyed that, so he took his Rukia's spirit powers away from him. And then later on, Ishida fights a Soul Reaper and he does the same thing. So I guess it's the sort of spirit equivalent of losing your arm, so to speak, where it's just if a fighter loses his arm, he can't really function as well. So, it's just it's a little, maybe not scary, that's probably not the word I'd use, but it's definitely, that's a thing that can happen. That's just a little thing I noticed. But yeah, it's there's moments of resolve, and I think that's what Chad and Orihime have to go. They have to remember what they have to protect, or what they were trying to protect when they're using, so they can use their powers consistently. So then they can actually force themselves to think of something to protect, and so they can fight at any time, basically, especially if they want to help Ichigo. But it's it's just that's kind of it. We see them, they do it. Yeah, I wouldn't say that this is this not how to write a training arc, but it's not it's neither how to write a training arc or how not to write one. It's just a training arc. It's just kind of you could do better, but I suppose you could do worse. At least there's effort put into it. It's not Ichigo's still blowing through it fairly easily, because he's very skilled at what he does. But it's 10 days of training, but he did it in 5, and then spent the rest of the 5 days just sparring with Urahara. And
I mean, there is at least the running motif or theme of resolve going here, but I don't feel like there's or if there is, I'm just not seeing it. But it doesn't feel like there's much deeper than that. Maybe that's why I can't get invested. But also, I think because just the nature of Ichigo's power, how he is, I mean, they do at least call him out that he's an idiot. He doesn't know how to use his powers. But he has I guess he's kind of like Naruto in that he just has this huge well of untapped potential that he doesn't know how to use. He's got to figure out how to use it. But, I don't know. For some reason, this isn't working quite as well for me as Naruto's did.
Yeah,
because really the main thing that he needs is brought up again later is that he needs, what he lacks that the other Soul Reapers have is experience. So really he just needs to battle, and there's not a whole lot of potential out of that.
Yeah, well, you get the fights, but then it's there is definitely one really good fight later, or at least definitely pretty good. So we'll talk about it. So yeah, I guess moving on from the training. So yeah, Byakuya, even though he's Rukia's sister, he doesn't give a shit about her at all. He never even looked at her, and now he's the next time I see you, we'll be at the gallows. He doesn't seem to well, that's the thing, is there's definitely something weird going on with Rukia's execution. It's her crimes aren't really that bad, but they talk about it later. But and yet her execution's being moved up, so it's so there's definitely something weird going on. I mean, there's a lot of weird things going on too. Also, well, I guess, there's a certain character death that happens. Anyway, we start seeing the new captains. We see Gin and Kenpachi. I don't know. What do you think about the designs? Because I was worried that they all wear the same outfit, But then like we keep seeing these new Soul Reapers, and they all look like really distinct from each other. Even though they're wearing the same clothes, it's definitely notable. So
over the course of this stretch of chapters, I have started to notice that not like the big important characters, but more of like the side, just kind of one-off, or maybe not necessarily one-off, but characters who have a relatively minor role in the conflict, but they do pop up again and again. I'm noticing a bit of same face with some of these characters, and it's a little difficult to distinguish them. Like you had Aizen's assistant, and I thought she looked kind of similar to the other boy who pops up later. So there were instances.
Sure. Point it out later because I'm not sure who you're talking about.
I'll point it out later, but definitely with like the important characters that are popping up here, they all look very distinct. I remember seeing I forgot his last name, but Gin, when he shows up, there's just something about his design that is really. It's just really cool. Like, he looks really sinister, but also just, he's so coy about it. I don't know.
He's got those eyes closed thing going on, the anime thing. Like, Brock or something. But, but no, or what was I going to say?
But yes, designs are cool. They're unique. Yes. They stand out.
Yes. So yeah, anyway, Ichigo fights Urahara. He learns the name of his sword. Resolve instead of fear, basically. Like, yeah, it kind of comes up here. It comes up more later, I think, but it's like, his sword's telling him not to run, but to fight, don't use your sword out of, like, fear of friends dying. It should be resolved to protect friends instead, just sort of like, yeah, again, sort of resolve over fear, because I guess one way you could put it is, like, sort of, speaking of Ichigo as a reaction protagonist, like, yeah, fear is definitely, like, something, like, I feel like fear, both are reactions, but fear is more of a negative one that needs to be dealt with, while resolve is more of a, in response to something. Like, resolve would be a more, something to challenge that fear. So, at least there's something going on. But again, it's just kind of like, yeah. So yeah, Chad and Ishida and Orihime master their powers, and the training's done. I like the little gag of Tatsuki, where she's like, I got second in nationals, but if it weren't for this injury, I would have won. And it's like, she's just like, everyone's afraid of her because she's too strong. Like, honestly, that's the thing, is like, all these fucking nerds are just like they're all like top of their class. Like, I think someone reminded me that Orihime actually did well in, the, like, grades too, and I'm like, I don't remember, but okay. And it's like, they're all smart, they're all really strong, and it's like, okay, it's anime, I can accept it. Mm-hmm. But, oh yeah, and Ichigo runs into his family again, and they missed him. Like, even Karin's just like, well, they're kind of drunk, I suppose, because of the, there was like a juice thing with vodka. That probably got, tweaked in the anime, or if not outright cut, because, you can show underage drinking in manga, but not anime, isn't that funny? Oh yeah, we talked about that a lot last time, never mind. With, fucking Rock Lee. His potion. Oh god.
It's interesting that you can show, because I'm just, while we're on the topic of Naruto, it's interesting that you can show like underage drinking but not smoking.
Yes, it's gotta be, it's TV laws, because like, here's an example. In One Piece, their character Sanji smokes. He's 19 years old in the manga, but he's 20 in the anime, because 20 is the age that you can show a character smoking. So they aged him up a year just so they didn't have to censor anything. Well, compare that to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where like Jotaro in the anime, like his bottom half of his face is always shaded in shadow whenever he's smoking, and it looks like fucking goofy, and it's like, because they can't show a 17-year-old smoking, so they just censor his face, and it's like, why? Jotaro's design, he's like this fucking brick wall of muscles, and it's like, he's 17 years old, it's like, so you can't show him smoking, it's like fucking ridiculous. Oh my god. Like, that's the thing about anime, is especially, like, I guess going into the Soul Society, is like, all these characters are like hundreds of years old, but some of them look like children, some of them look like adults, so it's like, you can technically show all of them smoking, even if they happen to be like look like they're 10. They're actually 500, so it's fine. It's like, anime is fucking weird, especially when it comes to, I don't know, age stuff like that. Especially like, all they have to do is assign a number and it's fine. It's like, okay, sure, I guess. But yeah, Orihime has a little moment with Tatsuki, and then we get a little glimpse of the science team, because Rukia mentioned them last time. I forgot to mention, but she said like there's 108 members of the science team, which is and 108 is an important number in Buddhism, I'm pretty sure. But we actually start to see some of them, and they're weird. They are some weird guys. Like, okay, here let me talk about something with Bleach I'm fine with it, but at the same time, like, because later on a giant shows up, and they just offhandedly mention like, oh yeah, he's a giant, and I'm like, what? Like, I thought they were all dead people, like dead people. Emphasis on people. So where the fuck did a giant come from? Like, I don't like, and there's a lot of weird looking, like in the science division, there's this one like huge guy with like, he's got like a big round head, like he doesn't quite look, and he's got like a fucking gears in his head and stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is he? Like, I'm fine with it. It's just kind of is what it is, but at the same time, I don't know, from the first few volumes, I got the impression that we were mostly going to be encountering like humanoid characters, but now it's, okay, sure, stop thinking about it. So, here's something I have a feeling might come up later, is Ichigo's leaving to go to the Soul Society, and his dad jumps off the roof because his dad's a goofball, and he gives him a talisman that belonged to his mother, and I'm like, okay, is this going to be important? Or no, the talisman his mother gave to his dad, and now his dad's giving it to Ichigo. So, and I'm just like, I feel like it'll be important, but it doesn't come up in this chapter. So, yeah. It's just, you don't just have a scene like that with a mysterious talisman, which are known for being magical in fiction. It's like, something's up, especially if it comes from his mom. I feel like, but oh yeah, and there's the little gag of like, they're like, keep your window open at this time period, and then they should throw the bomb of like that, of the bloody looking messages, and it's like, but why? You could have just told us to meet there at the proper time, and okay, whatever. It is a gag. But
I really love the bit with Chad where he's like, oh, I was out taking a walk and I got the summons right over there, and it's just in the middle of the street.
Right? Oh yeah, and fucking Ishida in his clothes, like, okay, because I forgot that he was in the crafts club, which is just, it was, at the time it was just like a little joke, like, oh, he's a serious guy who does good at school, but he's in the crafts club. But then it's like, I didn't link that to his costume. Because, like, there's, like, one of those in-between panels of him, like, sewing up his costume, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's in the crafts club. And then, of course, there's a joke where, like, they're going to Soul Society, and he loses his cape on the way there, and when he gets back, he's like, good thing I brought a spare. And I'm like, fucking Ishida, that's fucking good. Oh, man. But, so anyway, the gate gets open to Soul Society, they get talked. We learn a lot about the mechanics, sort of. Like, I don't know how many of them are actually going to be important, but, it's world building, it's fine. I don't mind it. But, it's just like, here's how it works, and it works that way. And, they go through the fucking... I like the design of the in-between place, with just all the fucking bones and that muck, and I'm like, ooh, spooky. But anyway, before we get onto that, let's talk about the first of 2 popularity polls. Yay! Okay, so the first one, first and second place both times were Ichigo and Rukia, and I'm like, I can accept that, because they're probably my 2 favorite characters so far. So, especially Rukia, she should be first, but you know what, it's an action shonen, I'll allow it.
And here we go, folks. These 2 will forever be at the top of the popularity polls, at least in the top 5 for the rest of the series, because that's typically how shonen stories work, right?
Let us hope. So, I mean, I'm not sure about Ishida at 3 and Kon at 4, because, I don't know. But then again, at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, Orihime is cute. She's at 5th. I suppose she could. I'd like to see her a little bit higher. But it's like, who else is here? Like Chad.
To build off of what I said last time, how many actual characters are here?
Yes, like Tatsuki's cool, but she's like not a major character, which is why it's good that she's up so high. Urahara's. I guess he got a lot of screen time lately, so that's fine. Ururu's cute, I guess, but and Mizuhiro, he's like just like a funny classmate guy. But then like you look at the next ones, and it's like, oh, Asano, their other friend. Ichigo's dad and sisters, and it's like, oh yeah, there's like no other characters.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay. And also I always I love looking at like the characters who got one vote, and you get like the clerk girl at the CD store, the desk used for throwing, who the fuck is Schneider? Like, he's just got the weirdest fucking shit. Or like oh, see, like this one I liked. It's like the spirit office worker Konsoed in episode 1. Like, this isn't even a canon character, but they got a vote anyway. Like, seriously, the people who send out one vote are my heroes.
Shout
the
out to the
parakeet
person.
that's not Yuichi, the one after the soul left, like, that's his favorite character in the entire series.
Shout out to the person who voted for that desk from the sight gag.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I also like the person who raced Orihime and Ichigo in Orihime's Fantasy, the athlete guy. Like, that's his favorite character in Bleach. Yeah, those are good. I like those.
No, why?
Let's be honest. Some of those deserve to be placed higher than just one vote. All right. So anyway, back to the actual story. They're in they get through. They make it to Soul Society. It's tense and but they're there, and it's Japan. They're just in Japan, like feudal Japan, but it's still Japan. And I guess we'll definitely talk more about Soul Society itself. But starting off, we get this gatekeeper, the giant guy, and I already commented about okay, there's just giants in the okay. Sure. I mean, maybe I should have seen it coming, because the Gatekeeper of Hell was also pretty big, so he was probably a giant. The guy who stabbed the Shrieker Hollow, the big bat. Yeah. So, but anyway, I guess we get a bit of a fight, kind of like. Well, you got the honor thing coming up again, where it's like a duels, and it's just like one-on-one. But then it's like, as a fight, it's just kind of like, Ichigo's strong, and the giant keeps like trying to up his game, and like 2 axes, and then he just gets destroyed. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, like, what's there to say about the actual fight itself?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the stuff after the fight that's at least a bit more discussion worthy, because like he has a reaction to losing his axes, and they bond a bit, and he's like, I've been defeated, I'll open the gate for you, and then Gin's like, excuse me. You're not supposed to do that, and then he cuts off his arm, and he basically just tells him to fuck off, like, very effectively.
Maybe it's just
by sending him the fuck, or what's up.
Maybe it's just the expressions that this guy tends to have. Like, obviously there's only so much you can do with like the eyes closed thing, but he always just comes out looking so smug and so sinister, and
yeah, cool. It's impressive the range of expression he gets with when he can't even. He has his eyes and his eyebrows, and there's so much you can. But his eyes are closed, so it's like, like especially the one where he's like, skewer that punk Shinso, his sword, and like just the shadows and it's again, the art is good. It's just there's not much else to say. Like, we mostly talk like story and characters, so we're not good at art. We're not art voice. So we say, yeah, that art is pretty good. That one looks a little weird for some reason. That's about all we can say.
Maybe it was also the way that he would like twist words around, like when he had said, what was the exact quote where he says, "No, a gatekeeper who loses isn't supposed to open the gate." I've already butchered it, but I don't know, the way
a gatekeeper who loses dies. Yeah.
Yes. He had a good usage of words there, so I don't know. I'm thinking this guy's going to be a cool character. I'm liking him so far.
He's going to be your favorite character. He's just Deidara in Bleach. I don't know. For some reason, you liking him makes me think of that for some reason. Just this one, like, not one-off villain character, but, just this more, I don't know if he's even going to be, at least thus far he's been mine. Maybe he's secretly the final boss. I don't know. But
I don't remember
what
hearing
if there
anything.
Is someone in this chapters who is secretly the final boss? We'll never know.
Yeah, certainly Gin Ichimaru is not someone I've ever heard of before reading Bleach, so I don't know how important he is, but I'm liking him so far.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, they get chased off, and we see Yuichi, the kid who was the parakeet, and he gets to meet Chad again, and Chad gets to carry him around after all.
Yeah,
I actually knew about that, which is why I, well, yeah, because you mentioned it last time, but yeah, and we get a little bit more world building of the Soul Society, where which is also kind of important to Rukia and Renji, is how there are no real families because you don't usually. It's pretty much impossible to find your actual family. So they just sort of make families with whoever happens to be there, or ever, yeah. So and then we also find out that like since this is like outside Soul Society, there's like a bit of dissent towards the Soul Reapers, because like the thing that I've been wondering is because like the Soul Society is kind of fucked. Like they have their like people fucking, this is the afterlife, but you still have people dying. Like it's not some sort of paradise. It's actually like it's just another flawed social order and the Soul Reapers just happen to be at the top. I'm like, who gave these guys the tools to rule? You know, like why are these guys in charge? Because obviously they're like, because Ganju gets introduced and he is not happy with Soul Reapers. He starts taking out his anger on Ichigo. So yeah, there's definitely there's the conflict. And I think I mentioned it last time, or did I mention it last time? I'm pretty sure Super Eyepatch Wolf also mentioned it in his video, sort of how you got this, like, the way he put it was like teenagers in a world they don't understand, like almost as if going to adulthood. But Ichigo's, since he became a Soul Reaper through other means, he's the outside lens on this world through being one of them, basically. So so he doesn't agree with their ideals, but he's that fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And you kind of get that with Ganju, because he's not the Soul Reaper. He's a Soul Reaper, but he's not the type of Soul Reaper that Ganju is angry at, because he's not part of that system. So anyway, they fight for a bit, and it ends, and then they have to go to the firework lady, so that they can get into Soul Society. And holy fucking shit, she's hot.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, goddamn. But anyway, yeah, she's also Ganju's sister. And, oh yeah, did you have a reaction at that moment when she's like, hey, well, here's my little brother. And he's like, oh, hi, I'm Ganju. Pleased to meet you. And then he's like, oh, shit, it's you fuckers.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment.
And I think at this point we're actually because I watched the anime so many years ago. I think I dropped it like right after Ganju got introduced. I was just like, I'm bored. I'm stopping. It got really slow somehow. So we're at the point where I have not really engaged in the material. Which for Naruto that didn't happen until the fucking Shinobi War. So we're both in uncharted ground now.
I did think it was interesting how Kubo had set up this conflict with the gate, like, oh, they got to get through, and so they have to fight the gatekeeper, but then they get kicked back out, and then they have to find some alternate way to get in, because at that point I was like, well, then how is he gonna do this, because they had the one path. Then we started getting off into this Ganju thing, and at first I was like, I don't know about this, but no, it goes to a good place. I was a fan of it.
Yeah, I feel like, if you thought this part was slow, it definitely picks up once they actually get into Soul Society, past the gates. But before then, we get Ruki gets her transferred, and she sees her execution platform. But then we get I guess a scene that sort of like questions the whole Rukia's execution. Is like her being her execution being shortened is unprecedented, as we get introduced to Aizen, Sosuke Aizen, who's a glasses guy who's probably not going to be important.
Nope. No. Although, like, when
spoilers, he dies.
in looking at his design, though, like this, because I know I won't go any further with that. But
you mixed him up with Chad earlier, right?
Yeah,
I can kind of see it here because
looking at the hair, like, he's got glasses, so like they kind of look sort of similar.
Maybe it's also just the masculine face, kind of something about the nose, maybe. But
maybe.
But yeah, I can kind of see, it's at least, especially the hair. I can kind of see why you might have at first glance seen Chad and gone, Aizen, what? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah. Anyway, so they talk. He and Renji talk a bit, sort of just questioning it, and then we go back to Ichigo, and they're in a training arc. I know they get where they have to but it's like. It's another training arc, but it's like, I don't know, it's nice to see Ichigo, like, because it's the thing, Ichigo's like, he's the big sword, but it's unpolished. You know, everyone else has smaller swords, and like that, everyone else has a better, easier time learning how to do it. But Ichigo's just like he's really fucking intensely strong, but he can't. He just can't control it. Like later on when they're actually going into Soul Society, they're like, lower your power so we're all even. And he's like, I'm trying. Lower your power. I'm trying. Like he can't fucking do it. He just can't turn off his faucet, so to speak. So it's like, we get it. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. It's just like, okay, you know, like I guess we're seeing it more directly now, but it's like, and I do kind of, you know, I don't mind how like the shapes and powers of the spheres were like, you know, sort of showed their, like, you know, Chad is strong, but a little unstable. You know, Ishida has an oval for some reason. You know, Orihime is perfect, or Ichigo's like a fuck up. So, yeah. You know, like it was neat, but just neat.
A good reflection of their personality through their powers there, but.
Or yeah.
But I would say. Like, I generally don't have a problem with slow-paced stories. I mean, a lot of shonen are that way. They're slow-moving to get to where they're going. But with the start to this arc, I think maybe it was just a little too slow for my taste, because we only just had that training bit with Hat and Clogs, Kisuke, Urahara, yeah. And then, like, we are a couple chapters later, we did have the fight with the gorilla guy, but I mean, another training period already? I mean, I get it. It's important setup, but it's just a little bit of a slower start than I was expecting for the arc that people consider to be like one of the high points.
And again, the training is just like, it's just kind of training, you know, I just expect more from like you know, when a character gets stronger, there has to be character to it. It can't just be for the sake of getting stronger.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I've already said that, but it's just like, you know, it's just like, what does Ichigo learn about himself, or you know, like, or again, what about the setting do we learn? Like, what does it like? They described the whole you know, you have to picture a circle in your mind and diving in the center of it. Like, what does that mean? Like, how does that like what does it matter that you know, every member of Soul Society or every Soul Reaper can do that? Like, it doesn't matter. It's not like with Nen, where every little thing, like, oh, you can affect how much of your aura is like around your hands or around that fucking matters. You know, it matters to the combat, so it's important to learn and see and train. But yeah, like this, it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like there are some, but in the aspects that do matter for the fights, we actually learn in the fights. So, like, I guess it's just like I guess it is kind of drawing it out, because we do need this other stuff to happen to sort of build tension. Like, they can't just go right in, you know? But
no.
There's just, I guess it's understandable, but it's not quite enough to be entertaining. So it's full, like, I was fine, again, I didn't find it was too slow. Like, I guess I'm just, like, inherently interested. I don't know, maybe it's just like for the Nen show when I don't know, I have yet throughout like the whole of Naruto and so thus far of Bleach, like I've never had that like, oh god, I have to read this for the Nen show, you know, because at least in this, I guess with, you know, Naruto, I was like re-experiencing the story practically for the first time, you know, fully understanding it. And with Bleach, I really am experiencing it for the first time, you know, like I'm worried about like Rave Master, Fairy Tail, where I know I'm going to suffer. See, at least it'll be the first time, so you get to experience the pain firsthand. But for me, it's like, I know this pain before. It's like, you know, punching a glass window again. Like, wow, what I learned the first time. No, now I got to do it again. So, but anyway, but yeah, we get a bunch more designs of all the captains. Well, most of the captains, and again, it's just like, yeah, they're all really unique and good designs. And some of them are barely even healed. Like what Kurosuchi, like what he's like a robot or something. I don't know. He's got like, I don't know what he is. But it's just it's fine. I just can't help but wonder. But and then they start playing off each other a bit and bickering. And we see I guess the leader, the old guy.
I was certainly a little concerned when it had been established that, like, oh, there's 13 companies. I'm like, oh boy. This is
That's a lot of characters.
that's a lot of characters. And I'm having flashbacks to like the tuning exams where a lot of these characters. I mean, that's just a shonen thing, though. That a lot of characters will get introduced. Not all of them will get utilized. So I'll be curious to see what happens with this stuff going forward.
Well, because it's almost, you can almost directly compare it, because you got the Ishida arc that was kind of like almost the Wave Country, where it's just like the longest arc thus far. Though then you have the really big arc that introduces a lot of characters. The Soul Society is a fair comparison to the tuning exams. So yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
Although what's interesting here is that Kubo is introducing a lot of characters they don't get a chance to play off of the protagonist right away, so it's just these new random characters bouncing off of each other. So there's I think it takes a little more effort in like if you're going to introduce a character, it's easier to have them bounce off the protagonist. So this takes a little more effort to flesh out their dynamics and their personalities and figure out how they play off of each other and that sort of thing. Yeah, right. Like you get the moment where Aizen's commenting on how convenient it was for the alarm to sound, because Gin was being questioned because he didn't kill the intruders, and then alarm sounds, and oh shit, we got intruders, and Aizen's like, isn't that convenient? So it's just I feel like this is maybe supposed to give a reason as to why Aizen might have gotten killed. Like, he's looking at, Gin's being suspicious, Aizen seems to notice it, and spoilers, Aizen ends up dead. He's dead, and he's never coming back. Never again. No. But, so yeah, it's like, so there's definitely, like, there's a mystery element. I think that's also hindering our discussion a little bit, because, like, again, we don't know where it goes. Like, we can't say, like, when, a certain character named Toby comes up with a mysterious mask, we couldn't just say, like, oh yeah, yep, he sure does have a mask. No. We couldn't just say that. So, but we also knew the answer to the mystery. I mean, it was obvious enough that we probably could have discussed it either way. But, like, in this case, there's also spoilers to consider. So, I mean, I feel like it's one of the spoilers that, like, everyone knows. But at the same time, what if someone doesn't? I don't want to be that guy. So, I don't know. But, so anyway, we learned that Ganju's brother was killed by a Soul Reaper. And, well, I guess that's, like, even though he died, he still didn't hate Soul Reapers, which is kind of interesting. That, like, was it because he was in the system that he didn't mind being punished by that system? Like, I guess we didn't really get, like, we got a little bit more detail on that later. We find out who the Soul Reaper who killed his brother was. But other than that, we don't really learn a whole lot. So, I guess there's still not much to say there. But anyway, they get sent out in the firework cannon. There's some drama, some tension as they have to, like, figure that shit out as they, which of course leads to them getting split up. And that's where the arc really starts to get interesting. Would you agree? Yeah. Yes, because now they're in enemy territory. They're split up, and then they start getting into their fights. Although I did have to suspend my disbelief a bit, because there are points where like the characters are getting chased by entire crowds of people, and it's like, do the captains really not notice this? Like, nobody. Yeah. Well, especially because, like, we've already established, like, sensory abilities. So, well, I guess, like, because that's, I just remembered, like, I remember with, like, Soul Reapers, like, because Ishido was talking about how, like, Soul Reapers have a red band, and that's how Ichigo found his sword. So wouldn't they be able to sense white bands easier if only Soul Reapers are supposed to be inside? Just, I don't know if that really came up, but, yeah, but, I mean, even the smaller, like the note, because how the ranking system works is there's the captain who's the first seat, I believe. Then there's the assistant captain like Renji, and like Byakuga is a captain with the white sash or robe part. Mm-hmm. Then Renji's like assistant captain, and then I think the next one is third seat. So the third seat's like the third strongest in the division. Yeah. So like that's like Ikkaku, who Ichigo fights, and then it just keeps counting down from there. So, I think that's how it goes. Like, I don't think there's a second seat and an assistant captain. So, or at least I don't remember any second seats. But yeah, so we get this one fight between 11th Division 3rd, Ikkaku, and the 5th against Ganju. Definitely my favorite fight in the series so far. This one I actually cared about.
Ganju's fight?
Oh, no, the one with Ikkaku.
Oh, Ikkaku, okay. Because Ganju's I liked because I liked his... because he's not a Soul Reaver, but he was using all these explosives and sort of these tricks. And I like that kind of stuff.
Too.
I like that kind of stuff. But, Ikkaku's was also pretty good. Not my favorite this arc, or in the series so far, but it was good. Oh, yeah, and I guess... since they mention, because we get this one bit where Ichigo mentions his master, Urahara, and we see him in his captain robe, because I noticed earlier, when they were going to Soul Society, he, like, tried to touch the gate, and he got repelled, and then we also they talk about the science division is talking, and they say, like, they talk about how Rukia's Gengai is, like, really fucking good, and I guess the implication there is that Urahara made it because, like, the person who made it was probably expelled or something. So basically, there's a lot of hinting at what Urahara's deal is. Like, he was formerly a Soul Reaper and he got expelled for some reason, but he's also like some kind of genius. So hints at some kind of backstory. But I don't know if it doesn't get delved further into aside from mention. Like, do we need a whole Urahara flashback? Yeah, probably. But are we gonna get one? I have no idea. So anyway, I guess now we can talk about Ichigo versus Ikkaku. So like the first thing I took from it was how like we're now that we have other Soul Reapers, we're getting more sort of expansion on what they can do. Like his sword can barely be called a sword after it transforms, you know. And like later on, there's the fifth seat guy who has I forget, they had a different weapon too. And then like Ishida fights the guy with all like the boomerang knife kind of deals.
Yeah. So
it's like Kubo can basically do anything with as long as it has a weapon, which I thought, I'm fine with. I'm perfectly fine with. But it's just like it's the world building aspect to it. He's like, this is what you can do, kind of. And I think because I mentioned last time I was like, is this Bankai? But I think the weapon transformation is actually like, I think someone said it's Shikai, so it's something else. It's like a lower form of it. So when you learn your sword's name, that transforms your sword into something more unique to you. But yeah, did you have anything specific to say about the fight?
I like how Ikkaku is basically just Bleach's version of Hanzo from Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, because he's bald.
Well, the personality
racist,
too. Like he's got the goofy but professional, assassin type vibe. He's got the same sense of humor, but he's also trying to, he's also skilled at what he does. And yeah, he also does kind of look like him.
But yeah, and then there's like a little bit of a motif of luck in their fight. I'm not quite sure if I would say a lot about that, but it's just like, because Ikkaku loses and he says he's unlucky, but Ichigo, says they're both unlucky because, I guess like Ikkaku just wanted to win and beat the intruder, but Ichigo had other things to do. He was just being held back, so that's why I said they're both unlucky, I suppose.
I thought it was interesting how this fight kind of started off, because originally I thought these were just kind of like any of the other goons that show up later and just kind of get tossed around in one shot, because you've got Ikkaku is doing like this luck dance, and it's like, what's he doing? He's just gonna get stomped. But then like we get an actual fight out of it, and it's like, whoa, okay, this guy is actually cool.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then you get the part where they both like they have their like that first exchange, and then they both like get that cut over their eyes, and he's got the solution or whatever to like patch it up, and Ichigo's like, hey, that's not fair, and he's like, what do you mean that's not fair? It's called being prepared. You should be applauding me for my professionalism.
Yes, they're dorks. And of course later you get Ichigo, like he patches up his opponent, before he uses that solution on himself, because, Ichigo wanted to ask a few questions, but he's also a nice guy. He's not going to, like, let his opponent die. Though I forget, Soul Reapers can die, from that, because Ichigo almost died. He had to be saved by Urahara. But, so anyway, because Ikkaku gives him the answers, but, there's definitely some respect, because later on he says that, like, he didn't give the enemy anything. He lies to his subordinates, or his allies, so,
I did think it was interesting how, he wouldn't talk to that robot Kurotsuchi guy, because he was trying to, like, get intel out of him, and he's like, I don't know anything, but then when his captain shows up, he is a lot more open about that.
Well, now you mention it, you reminded me, because there's definitely like rivalries in between the divisions. Like later on, I think with Yamada was his name, the short guy from the 4th division, and the 4th division being like the trash division. Like all the 11th division guys were like, yeah, kill him, we don't care. 4th division, fuck. So it's like there's definitely like animosity in between different divisions. So so they have their like structure because they need some sort of structure, but there's also like bad blood in between the ranks. So and I guess that's a bit of that, because Kurosuchi, he's in a different he's a creep also. But at least something about him, maybe it's just how he looks, but maybe I vaguely remember something from the future that I shouldn't remember, or I don't, nothing I could say, like not even for spoilers, like it's just a feeling. It's a feeling that something's off about this guy, Kurosuchi. But yeah, and then of course Ikkaku gives Ichigo a warning about Kenpachi. God, Kenpachi, man. But I guess before we get to that, we have Ishida fighting he does his fight where he gets to show. Oh no, wait, never mind. It cuts around and it confuses me. I've had this problem since Naruto. Dang, manga, be linear and boring instead of like structured and interesting, because linear and boring makes it easier to discuss. But I guess I don't know. I think I already said most of what I had to say about Ganju's fight. I just liked how I like the fights with the weak guy using trickery and skill against the stronger guy. Yes. I've always loved those kind of fights.
Especially in Bleach, where most of it, at least to this point, has been, very...
Two big guys with swords smacking each other until one falls down. Like, that's it's being rude, but it's mostly true.
But in this one, like, he doesn't even have... Did he have a sword? I don't remember if he had a sword.
No, he just had his, like, spirit arts, like he was, like, cracking the ground, and around the big gap or hole in the ground that the other guy formed, and then he was just using the explosions to fuck him up, and it was good. I was like, things are happening in this fight that aren't just people hitting each other with swords. Because I think I mentioned it. I've had people ask about Kira's Cat stuff, and I think I mentioned it's like, someone was like, "What's your favorite anime sword?" And I'm like, I don't like swords. Like One Piece also has like Zoro, and it's got swords and stuff, but it's like, Zoro's fights are usually like the least interesting. Like he's, even though he gets so many of them, it's just like including, in my opinion, like the worst fight in the entire series is the Zoro fight, because it's just two fucking people hitting each other with swords, and like it's hard to make interesting. And
you got to be like Killer Bee, where you have like 30 different swords all around, and you're just
right. But he also uses wrestling moves and stuff, because it's like, swords look cool, but how do you get something interesting out of that? Like in Bleach's case, like I guess we'll talk about it later with Kenpachi, because that was again my favorite fight in the series so far. But yeah, it's like. So yeah, it's like thus far it's like, Ishida doesn't fight with a sword, so he's like more interesting, and then and then Ganju's fight, like I liked it a bit more than Ikkaku's, just because it was a bit more creative, and Orihime has her unique powers, like so you get their fight against this the big guy, and like Orihime's kind of, well, like I like Orihime because this is her first time fighting a person, not a monster. So she can't just, like, the way he says it is she doesn't have any killing intent. So she can't do anything. Like, she's not going to be able to kill him, so she's not going to be able to win. And so that doesn't really get, like, any further exploration in this stretch of chapters, I don't think. But it's something that, we get to see more, we'll hopefully get to see more of her later. I have doubts, but I hope. Because I've heard some people said some things.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with... granted, we are only halfway through the arc.
Yeah.
But I was sort of disappointed, mainly, like, beyond this one fight, Ishida and Orihime, they really had nothing to do in this stretch of chapters. They just weren't present at all. Like, once they got split up...
Well, it's like, after this fight, they just sort of vanished until, like, the very end. Or was it the very end, or was that chapter I'm not supposed to have read? That was a chapter I'm not supposed to have read.
How far did you read?
They show up in chapter 119. That's all I'm going to say.
I read up to 118.
I know, that's why I'm like, wait a minute, was I supposed to mention that? Oops.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I felt like 118 was just a better, stronger cliffhanger. That's basically that's it. Like, you get Ishida, he's he's shown to be capable against Soul Reapers, which is like, his whole deal, and like to the point that even like cripples this guy. Like, this guy will never be a soul. Like, I guess that's the contrast between them. Like, Orihime has no killing intent, but Ishida is able to. He basically, like, he figuratively kills this guy. Like, he's not going to be able to do his job. So, and Orihime's even like, well, what the fuck have I been, like, he became so strong in 10 days, like, what have I done? Like, she's like, oh, poor Orihime. But yeah, then we basically don't see them again, so. And yeah, I think we get the moment you were talking about earlier where they're like, Ganju and Ichigo are both like running around and screaming and being chased by like dozens of guys, and then they run into each other and it's like, okay, fight time.
Yeah, he's just like,
cool.
Good, Ichigo can back me up, and he just brings a whole crowd of people, and he's just waving at him like a
the dork. I like it. Yeah, the humor is still good. And then they meet Yamada, and that we get the moment I was talking about earlier. I think he's called Yamada, right? The fourth squad medic guy, who's janitor guy, and no one else gives a shit about him. So he ends up becoming like their ally just because like they don't treat him like shit, which I guess is again that sort of questioning the system aspect to it, because he's like, maybe Soul Society, like if he's willing to work with these nice people because they're good rather than his organization. So.
I don't. Maybe this is me expecting too much out of the translators, but like when Ichigo and Ganju were talking about his name and how like, oh, you're Hanataro, that's a generic name, and I almost wish like, okay, thanks for not, I mean, I don't know any translation that does this, but like, why is that a generic name? I don't understand Japanese. Like when
we just have to sort of like take the character's word for it, because it's like. Yeah,
because I know like mean. For MMO Junkie, the anime that aired like 2 seasons ago, the one alias the character uses is Hayashi, which is like the equivalent of John or something.
Right.
So
I suppose
is that it's generic, but
like the only common name I know is Sakura, which is like the most popular female name. That's the only like generic name I know. So, but like I don't know any generic guy names. So yeah.
But that's not really a criticism of anything. That's just Yamada. Me being ignorant, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just like, again, you just sort of have to take their word for it. Because at least it's being said. Like I imagine that was Explanation Point mentioned that in his video, right?
Yeah.
Or was it actually mentioned in the show? I didn't watch the show.
No, I remember seeing it in some discussion of the show. But
it's discussion. Okay. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe I'm even wrong about it being in his video. But I didn't watch the show, so okay. Oh yeah, and that's the other reason Yamada wanted to help them, because they want to save Rukia, and he's like, okay, yeah, Rukia, because he loves her, and I'm like, no, fuck off, she's mine.
Oh no, because he's the kid who gets bullied in the stories. Now Craft Store's just like, no, go away. Just kick.
I'm the bully now. So, I guess there's another fight that I forgot about. So yeah, Yamada helps them get to the tower that Rukia's in, and Renji returns.
The return of Renji.
There was a moment that I was like, kind of like, on, where it's like, he's like, well, I'm 5 times stronger than I was in the human world. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I almost wonder, now granted that could have been just, maybe I'm only just saying this because I like to be cynical of Bleach, I don't know. But that could just be like a retcon after the fact, or if that was something he'd planned out in advance.
It's definitely a like gotta keep up the tension kind of deal.
Because when you if you consider that Renji, this guy who Ichigo had beaten in the human world before, it's like, oh, he's the second in command, so he's one of the strongest, and Ichigo has had a massive power boost. Could be problematic.
Right. So. Yeah, that's what he's got to keep up the tension. Like if Renji was getting his ass beat by Ichigo back then like, and Ichigo's come so far, then he's got to. He can't just be like, oh yeah, Ichigo's like captain level already. Like I mean, he basically is, but he can't just do that.
Although I think it does feel a little arbitrary that like, oh, I'm 5 times stronger.
Right. He could have been 4 times stronger or 3 times, and it wouldn't really matter. Everything would turn out the same. Yeah.
Like I don't have a problem with the whole they get nerfed in the human world. That's fine. But I guess I would have rather that somehow been like shown. Like yeah, we do get the part where he strikes him with a sword, and then Ichigo's got like the cut on his face, but that
he's also like destroying I guess it makes sense that they're not supposed to be. They can't damage things in the human world, so they're that's what I think that's what they said. And he's like he's like destroying fucking buildings and shit, so he's definitely stronger. So at least it is shown. But do you really need to attach a number to that? Is the real question.
Maybe it would have Maybe I would have preferred it if it was just like he struck Ichigo for one of the times, and Ichigo was like, "Wait a minute, he's stronger than before." And then like he could have said, "Yeah, I'm stronger than I was in the human world." But yeah, the numerical aspect of it is
it's like I was power level 1,200 before, but now I'm 6,000. Like, who cares? Power levels suck. It wasn't that bad, but it's just like power. Still, it just yeah.
Now
But anyway, there is at least a bit of a technical aspect of the fight where it's like, oh yeah, some abilities you can only use sometimes, and so. Well, actually, I kind of like that there was like a fake out to it where like, because Renji just like dodges and he's like, oh, you use it 3 times, I can get you now. And Renji's like, no, and he dodges and he just fucking gets it. Ichigo. It's like, what? That was pretty good.
Yeah, some of the technical, if you can even call them technical aspects of the fight that get introduced or not really introduced, but that Kubo tries to incorporate into the fights to make them seem like there's more going on than just the magic system. But like. Yeah, they're not that interesting.
Like, yeah. Because even then, it's like after that, it's like we get the flashback and it's like resolve, and Ichigo now he has resolve and he beats Renji, and it's like okay, sure. There's a reason I forgot this fight. And after we get the flashback with Renji and Rukia, and because they have a past with each other. And one thing I want to point out is that they were children, but they're also ghosts. So ghosts can just get older. I just have to accept that.
Yeah, because maybe if it was like over, I guess I could understand maybe them aging, but like if over like their aging period is just elongated because they're spirits. Yeah. But yeah, it is kind of weird, and they say that it's like a 10-year skip or whatever. So
wait, only really?
Yeah.
So they age. Okay.
Yeah, so they just age. They're not kids anymore.
That doesn't even make any sense because remember way back when they met Yoichi or
and he was 1997 or whatever.
Kid. Yeah, and he had a friend who was like dead since like the 50s, and it's like
oh yeah.
But so it's been like 50 years and he's still a child. So. I mean, I think maybe spirit energy has to do with it because, they mentioned that, like, spirits don't need to eat unless they actually use spirit energy. And so...
okay. Yeah, that could be.
So maybe spirit energy also, like, just affects, like, they grow and they basically it makes them more human, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So a spirit that doesn't use spirit energy sort of stays in stasis and, like, the fact is that I have to explain this, not because Kubo didn't.
Yeah.
And maybe he does later. Maybe he already did, and I just completely fucking missed it, which I think is kind of unlikely. But
yeah, because I don't remember seeing anything either.
Judging from the rules that we see, especially because that's the thing that made me that click together is the eating. Is that they need food if they use their spirit energy, but if they don't, they're fine. So yeah, okay, I fixed it at least for now. Maybe something will happen later that contradicts my interpretation, but it's fine. But yeah, so Renji and Rukia, they were these commoner peasants, but they got into the ranks through sheer skill. Well, what I noticed here is because like Rukia like rejects Renji, and she like and so I guess I ended up comparing that to back when Rukia was like rejecting Ichigo, and she was like, leave I don't care about you, leave me alone. Of course, she was faking it, but it's like in that instance she was with Byakuya, like so but in this instance it looked like it was just them alone. So she had no reason to reject Renji if she like I don't know like what's her she doesn't seem very like I don't know it seems like like the way she moves away it doesn't seem like oh she just didn't care. It seems like she did care but she wasn't able to be like this sort of like brother and sister they kind of were before. So maybe it'll get expanded on later, but it definitely seems like there's something here. It's just we just haven't gotten all the way into it yet. I don't know, did you have any thoughts on that? The flashback?
Yeah, I could definitely see something being there, whether it's like he put up this facade and maybe she bought into it and was disappointed that he did that, or maybe she saw through it and just decided not to react because it would make things harder for him. I don't know, but it looked like there's something there.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes in the future, but for now it's just like but yeah, Renji, like see it's like no, who wants Rukia to die? Like Yamada's helping them, Renji, he wants Rukia saved, like I mean cuz she was there, a comrade. I forget she was in Division 6, I believe, but it's like so something's fucky going. A few things are fucky going on here. So I guess that's the issue with splitting the arc into two, because maybe if we read the whole thing, would have gotten a bit more closure. But we'll just have to grit our teeth and move on.
While we're on the topic of Renji, though, I'm just thinking back to that discussion we were having about protagonists earlier, and I can't say as much for Luffy because I don't know what happens with him. But I'm just thinking about like Ichigo's character. He doesn't really have a rival at this point in the story, and maybe that's why I can't get attached to his character as much.
I've seen people describe Renji as that rival, but Ishida seems more like it at this point.
But even then, they
so he's got like two almost.
But even then, they haven't really interacted in this stretch of the story. Certainly not in any sort of competitive aspect. Just a lot of, oh hey, Ishida's kind of a dork, so let's make fun of him.
Yeah.
But there's no real it's Naruto, Sasuke, or Goku,
or
Krillin,
Deku, Bakugo, or
Deku, Bakugo.
I would say Goku, Vegeta, but
I can't say Goku and Vegeta because that's like way into the story. I'm talking early on. Like there's nobody really for him to...
I mean, but that's when the way you think of it. That like they're the rivalry. Like even if it is Dragon Ball Z and not Dragon Ball, like that's the real rivalry, I'd say.
Well, yeah, that is the real rivalry. But at least like in early Dragon Ball, Krillin he's there, and he's someone who kind of he's not like antagonistic against Goku for very long, but they do play off of each other, and for a good stretch of chapters in that early portion of the story, they are competing against each other. So it's just like the presence of somebody. Even if I won't say Krillin is the best example of a rival character, because he's certainly not like a Sasuke level of importance where he's shaping the protagonist's ideals, but
and vice versa. But but yeah, so it's definitely Ichigo doesn't have quite as strong a rival character at this point. But from what I've seen of like discussion and comparison, I feel like Renji is that character, at least in the future, if not yet. But I don't know. Maybe I'll feel differently when we actually read more of it. But
because I mean they have fought twice, and at the very end of our stretch of chapters, his sword wants to clash against Ichigo's sword again, but. He doesn't seem like he wants...
Yeah, you're right.
But even then, not really feeling that just yet.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Well, because there's already, because he's in a prison cell healing because Byaku's like, well, he lost, he's worthless. So there's definitely room for some kind of change, but we'll see how it goes. And then we get a little scene, which will become more important later, with, who's the girl again with the bun on her head? What's her name? She's talking with Hitsugaya, who I vaguely know Hitsugaya because he's like the short kid with the white hair. He's like one of the most popular characters in the series because all the girls love him. Like there was a meme apparently where it's like the ratings are falling. Here comes Hitsugaya, where Kubo would just bring him into the story to raise the chapter's ratings when it wasn't doing so well in the polls. Because he was just that popular, so maybe we'll see how obnoxious that is later. But that's all I know about this character. Because I don't know, he's just like the small kid who's like also the leader of his. He's a captain, so it's like okay, I don't and he's kind of giving warnings too. Is her name Momo, the girl?
Yes, that's the name.
He's like warning.
Yeah, Aizen's second in command.
Yes, he's warning her about the third company, which comes up later. Before he gives after he gives the warning. The captains are basically declaring war against the intruders. So, well, I mean, to be fair, at this point they've fucked up a lot of shit, including an assistant captain. So,
although we did kind of gloss over that there was like the warning beforehand because that was the second time it went off with the intruders.
Well, because the first time it went off because I don't think that they had actually maybe the fire cannon had fired at that point. But it didn't, nothing had quite happened yet. And it wasn't until after, that's what I remember.
I thought that the first alarm was, there wasn't really much of an explanation, and I thought that had maybe something to do with what happened to Aizen and what's going on with the fishy stuff in the background.
Because Aizen said Gin was like, well, that alarm was pretty convenient, wasn't it? So there's definitely something weird going on with the first one, but the second one is like, okay, shit's actually happening. Yeah. This makes sense now, But, so... Yeah, there's definitely a lot of mystery of this arc. So I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll like the arc more in retrospect after so that's what it was all in service of, So yeah, but
yeah, we'll say now that we're getting into the thick of things here, I certainly did enjoy this stretch of chapters more than our first reading.
Okay, that's fair. I'm a little split just because I thought the first chapters were really fun.
Or maybe it wasn't that I
and this
enjoyed it
stuff's
more,
good
but
too.
I was more invested, like on.
That's fair.
Like
Yeah,
because there's
oh,
there's a
that's
ton
right.
of ideas being tossed around here. There's a lot happening.
Right. And you were saying at the end of the last stretch chapters you were worried that you might not be invested in the future, but you are getting invested, so that's good. So anyway, Momo, she was warned about the third company, but then she goes straight to fucking Aizen, the captain of the third company, and he's a good boy, and he's being nice to her.
Wait, I thought
And they
Aizen
talk for a
wasn't
bit.
Aizen the captain of the fifth company. I thought captain of the
maybe-
third was
Wait. Oh,
Gin.
Geen is the... You're right. I fucking mixed up my
This
numbers.
is the problem with
I'm terrible. You're
13
right.
companies. Who belongs to who?
Right? I'm already fucking getting screwed up. Like, see, it's like with the Akatsuki, it, like, doesn't matter. They're just guys, but these guys are fucking numbered. And I'm like, shit.
They're just numbers.
It's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I thought it was, I thought it was weird that she went to Aizen, but I'm like, wait, never mind. He's fifth company, not third. You're right. I'm an idiot. But yeah, she was concerned about Renji, so he alleviates her concern, and then he fucking dies. Like, a lot of people say this is like a big twist moment. I knew it was coming because it's a big twist moment. So it's like the first like more popular than the twist is always like people talking about the twist and what big twist it was. Like Snape killed Dumbledore. Like everyone heard that before the book came out because it's just 3 words. Aizen dies. It's 2 words. It's even easier to spoil. You just can't fucking avoid that shit.
Although I didn't remember at what point it happened in the story. I just kind of remembered the imagery of some body being like hung up on that pillar and like the blood dripping down.
I hadn't actually seen it. I just knew it happened.
But if this was like a huge
go on.
twist in the story that everybody gets all excited about, I mean, granted we still have half the arc to go, but like there wasn't a whole lot to learn about Aizen's character and what had happened beforehand, so it's kind of just...
I guess I can see it, like, because it's been an action shonen up to this point, and then there's, like, mystery element, and now suddenly it's a murder mystery. Like, I can see that being a bit, like, surprising, especially if you had no idea it was coming. So I'm fine with it, but I already kind of knew, personally, so I don't have much to say. Except, like, where does it go from here? Because, again, it doesn't really get resolved in this stretch of chapters, so...
Yeah, I might have a partial disconnect with what's happening with Aizen here, just because I already know that he's an important character. So I'm more.
No, he's dead. He can't be important. Stop talking, Matt. No, he's fine.
But I'm just more interested to see what's happening here. So maybe it's that I'm not buying into the emotions as much, just because I'm more interested in what happens later. But I mean, I don't know. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Well, because like right after it, you get Momo, she sees Gin and she's like, this motherfucker is gonna die. And shit, like, I don't know, I just like the intensity of her anger. It's like, because she's just like this small, cute girl, and now she's fucking pissed. I like it. I like the contrast there. And also she's got some like sort of fucking explosive sword power, it looks like, because she attacks Izuru. And there's like a giant fucking explosion after and it's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? This is kind of cool. She's like, yeah. And they fight for a bit before Hitsugaya stops them, and they both get arrested. Even though, I mean, I can feel a little bad for Izuru, because he's just defending his captain, like, that's just his job, and she's just pissed. So it's like, well, he didn't do anything wrong, but he's getting arrested. But at the same time, Momo's a sympathetic character, so it's like, I guess they're both arrested. So yeah. Did you have any other thoughts on that moment?
I mean, yeah. It was good to see how these, because beforehand we had gotten some shots of them, to establish that yes, they're friends, they're good comrades, but then this happens and now they're against each other. So things are breaking down.
Yes, like shit. Like yeah, it's this crisis is sort of like revealing the problems in their system. And so it's all coming down, which is also I've seen this before, like recently with the different series. But so yeah, it's good. I like that.
But then you also have the little tidbit after the fact where Hitsugaya looks over at Gin. He's like, "You tried to kill her, didn't you? And if you kill her, then I'll kill you."
Yeah, he's yeah. So anyway, Ichigo recovers, but we get a little Chad. Can't forget Chad. I didn't forget Chad. I might have forgotten Chad. So he's we sort of get a flashback to him first meeting Ichigo and befriending him, where Chad's not able to fight, but Ichigo can fight, and Ichigo kind of convinces Chad to, you're not supposed to use your fists for yourself, so use them for me, fight for your friends, all that kind of deal. And which is why he's able to sort of fight against all these Soul Reapers. And he gets in a fight with the fucking captain. Or no, I guess it's a little later.
Yeah, I will say there was a little bit of, like, just comedic moments. Like, there's the part with a crowd of people where they're like, "You're one of the intruders, aren't you?" And he's just like, "I guess."
Sure.
And then the one guy tries to, attack him from behind
okay.
with the sword after he's, like, spared him, and his sword just, like, bends against his power or whatever. And he's just like, "Don't do that again."
I love Chad's fucking endurance. He's so good. And now it's like, now since he's got his arm, he can do that against Soul Reapers, or just like his power. He's just got really strong powers. He's too strong. He's good. But anyway, I guess a little bit before we get that Chad stuff is we get probably one of the most intense moments of this stretch of chapters. It's where like Ichigo, Yamada, and Ganju are running, and then like there's just like that sort. They feel that presence, that spiritual energy, and you get like this one big page of them surrounded by black with their white shadows.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck is that? And then I love the one after that where it's like represented by like a skeleton with a sword against Ichigo's neck, and it's like just like I fucking like the fucking intensity here. And then of course the 2-page spread. Oh fuck, it's Kenpachi watching just on a roof, and it's just the intensity is really fucking good. And I was immediately like, oh shit. Oh shit! Oh shit!
It was good.
I had a good reaction. Yes. Oh damn it! I missed one. Okay. So yeah. Kenpachi gets down to Ichigo's level by teleporting behind him. I forgot about that.
There's two.
I have a counter. I still have.
There's
another more to come. Oh, there's way more teleporting behind me to come.
But then I was also a little confused because there was like illusion, like imagery stuff happening here. Like he teleports behind him and Ichigo gets stabbed, but he's not actually stabbed. And what's happening?
Yeah, well, it's like it's just the presence is so like that's what he was freaking out about. I think it's just like you see, because he definitely didn't actually stab Ichigo, but he
so I didn't know if it was supposed
Ichigo
to be more.
Says like it felt like murderous intent, but it like such a strong murderous intent. Like he felt like he actually died for a moment. Like holy fuck.
So it was more just like metaphorical. That was just.
I guess. Well, but Ichigo says like no, murderous intent alone couldn't have. But I guess like it must, because it doesn't come up again in that like the fight. Like it's like. Okay. Well, I guess maybe part of it is like, because they talk about like this sort of barrier that spirit energy creates around yourself, and so like I guess maybe like Kenpachi's energy is so strong that it's even able to like I don't know. I'm just gonna come up with this. End up coming with a dumb explanation. I'm just gonna stop. It doesn't. I don't know. It's just it looks cool. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. It's really the fact that Ichigo questioning it is just what throws it in question into if it just it's just murderous intent. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Though I guess one thing I want to say before we before they start to actually fight is I fucking love Yachiru. Like honestly, these two as a duo are fucking like, because you got this like really fucking intense fight guy who wants to just murder all the bitches, and then he's got this like Kubo has a thing for like small girls and big guys. Like he did it twice during the last stretch of chapters with Chad through Karn and Rukia, and now he made a purposeful duo where you get this fucking adorable tiny Yachiru and Kenpachi, and it's just like she's so fucking cute. I want to fucking like you get the little inter-volume piece with it's like Kenpachi like jumps down to fight Ichigo, and then
she's just on his back.
Special box seat with Yachiru like hanging off his back. It's just the fucking cutest thing, and I want to die. Oh my god, she's adorable. Like, Rukia's best girl, but Yachiru is the cutest, and the firework lady is the hottest, so... but Rukia's still best. So yeah, we get, I guess, like, see, and this is kind of where, it, like, I guess it is slightly repetitive, where it's, like, the resolve comes into it again, where, like, Ichigo, Kenpachi's like, okay, you can cut me once, I'll let you do it. And Ichigo does it, and it doesn't do shit, because Ichigo, like, has no resolve, like, with Kenpachi taking him, so, like, he gets mad, but it's just, like... he's doubtful, and then like he just so I guess that's what I took from that moment. It's just like if he has no resolve, he can't do any damage. So and he underestimated Kenpachi. he shouldn't have done that.
I kind of
He
like
shouldn't
how
have
that
done
was used in this fight, because you do have this character who has like such a strong like murderous intent, such a strong presence. So like to really test Ichigo's resolve, I do like how that affects this fight. Although I think just how it would, the same resolve idea would kind of pop up in other fights, and Ichigo had already kind of
it's becoming a bit repetitive. So I mean, there's other aspects of the fight I like, and I've also had parts of it, like, because I've heard other people talk about Kenpachi, like, recently, because, okay, minor spoilers. Basically, in the future, Ichigo fights a character and loses, and Kenpachi fights that exact same character and wins. But then, like, in this fight, like, Ichigo beats Kenpachi, so I'll explain it later, because just from what I took, not having it explained to me, just from what I took from the fight and with that in mind, because it might seem contradictory, like, especially because there's no real, like, type advantages like you might get in a like even in a Naruto fight, kind of, with the power, like Sasuke's lightning being able to disable Deidara's bombs, like there's an advantage there. So you have a character who, you know, winning where they might have had struggled otherwise, but you don't really get that in Bleach because it's just people with swords fighting each other. So you'd think like, oh, a character who loses is just weaker than the character who wins. So if you know, there's a triangle like that, then that doesn't make any sense. But because I have heard that, you know, I have heard that complaint before, but I'll address it when we get to the end of the fight. Because really, like, well, because, you know, the resolve aspect is there, but more also there in this fight is sort of like, I guess, the self, so to speak, where it's like, Kenpachi is like, the dude, okay, his sword is, like, dull, and because he's used it so much, and he's like, it's like you saw, the edge of it is, it's all uneven, and it's like, so, it's like shit. And then, you know, he's got the eye patch that's, like, eating his spirit energy, through most of the fight. He's got his bells on his hair that make it so that when he moves really fast, like, his enemy can hear him move. So he's got, like, so many fucking handicaps on himself. But
Yeah.
It's like, at the same time, he also doesn't know his sword's name. So he can't, he's already lower than Ichigo in that point. And sort of like how Ichigo sort of like triumphs is like he does he sort of fights his like evil self who's using his sword differently. And he sort of like learns like, oh, you know, he learns to rely on more than just himself. And so that's sort of their difference. Like, Kenpachi only, like, he even says it's weak for, you know, it's weakness for him to, like, you know, but then he loses. So it's like, well, nice going, Kenpachi. So there's at least a bit, there's something more there than that's not resolve, I suppose, is part of the reason I enjoyed the fight. Aside from Kenpachi just being fucking nuts. Like, holy shit, the dude is strong.
I mean, yeah, he definitely is cool because, like you said at the beginning of the fight, you get a good look at the sword, and he's like, "Oh, maybe you can finally get the rust off this blade," because he just nobody ever gets to fight him.
And at the end, Yachiro is like, "Thanks for giving him a good fight," like, because that's all he wants. He's like a Saitama almost, and I'll talk about that a bit more. But it's like he just wants a good fight, and he's too strong to get a good fight.
Yeah, because even when...
Well, because that's the thing, is, like, you get a little flashback later, and, like, Zaraki is, like, his name, and Kenpachi is, like, the term used for, like, the strongest Soul Reaper. And it's, like, no one argues that, I don't think. Like, he's just called Kenpachi. Like, you'd think, like, oh, yeah, no, I'm the strongest Soul Reaper, especially since you lost to Ichigo, but it's, like, actually, so, yeah, I guess we'll talk about that fight later, because we get a bit of Chad first. It cuts away, and ruins our discussion. No,
Although with
So, yeah.
yeah, great. What was I gonna say? Now I lost it.
What?
Never mind.
I'm sorry. I ruined you. So anyway, Chad fights. He one shots the third seed of the 8th Company, who's like this big dude who shows up and he's like, "I'm doing things," and then he just gets wrecked. And then the captain of the 8th Company drops down, and I like the gag where it's like there's all the petals, and Nanano just like. Okay, he's like, "I'm done with the petals," and she drops the whole thing on him.
Yep.
He's just buried, and it's just a little gag. I like it. And this guy's really chill. You know, he's like, but he's also really fucking strong. So it's like, okay, that's cool. And, you know, Chad gets, we get another, I like the flashback where, like, okay, this I've seen, posted around before, but it's like, you know, because you get the Chad and his coin, and the delinquents who he can't fight, and Ichigo comes in and sort of helps him. And I like the gag where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna need the ambulance. There'll be 5 people. And he's like counting the delinquents. It's like, yeah, these guys are gonna need an ambulance. And then he just fucking throws, it's just a cool moment. And but yeah, they bro up, and you know Chad wants to protect Ichigo, but he can't. It's a fucking captain. He can't do shit. So, did you have anything to say on the Chad fight? Fight? I guess you can call it a fight.
I don't know. I'm still. I don't know what it is, but there's still part of me that like with Orihime and Chad, it's tough for me to like actually. I don't know. I still have something of a disconnect there, where for some reason I am not totally buying into that they are existing in this world. Like, I mean that they're like actually be able to fight on this level. Because obviously they've got their spirit powers, but I think it's because I don't quite fully understand how the spirit energy works. It's not like in Naruto where everyone's got chakra and everyone are, you know, training to be ninjas, so it makes sense that these characters can do things.
See, that's something that comes, I know for a fact, like I think there was even a comment of someone pointing out that it gets explained like 50 volumes in, and like I vaguely know because I remember people bitching about that arc, but I kind of know what their powers like are to a degree, so it doesn't bother me that much. But yeah, I can see why you feel that way.
But beyond that, I mean, this was all right. He gets squashed.
Yeah, well, because it's a captain. What do you fucking expect?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he gets captured, and I think that's all of Chad for the most. No, maybe we see him a bit later, but
Although now I remembered what I wanted to say about Kenpachi, because you were talking about how he just wants a good fight, and I thought it was cool how the other two that were with Ichigo, they ran off to go after Rukia, and Ichigo's like, "Aren't you going to stop him?" And he's like, "I don't care. I just want to fight."
Yes. Because yeah, like once Ichigo, you know, resolves himself, because like, he sensed Chad's energy like fade away, and he's like, well, shit, just got real. So he actually damages Kenpachi, and Kenpachi's like, huh, that happened. I love Kenpachi. He's like, he's got such a pure smile. He's like, yeah, I knew you could do it, but it's also like fucking terrifying because now Kenpachi's getting fucking amped up, and oh man, Kenpachi's a good boy. I mean, and by good boy I mean run. Run very far from Kenpachi.
Now I'm just picturing like that one-off chapter with Kon where Chad just starts chasing him, but it's instead of Chad, it's Kenpachi, and like with a sword.
Fight? Did someone say good fight? Oh my god, Kenpachi versus Saitama, who would win? As long as I enjoy it.
Instead of likes cute things, it's likes to fight or something. I don't know, but yeah, so anyway, Kenpachi like beats Ichigo. Ichigo has another meeting with his sword, and he gets a training, like a mental training arc, I guess, where more about technique than strength. You know, where like and the evil self was weird because like at the end of it, the evil self was like, you know, I'm not done. I'll be back, and I'm like, oh, okay, what the fuck. Yeah, this wasn't quite like evil Naruto where it comes up and it's resolved. It's just like, yeah, it
comes up and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's gonna be more of this. And like he does shit with his sword that Ichigo's like, well, I didn't think about that. Like Ichigo realized that like, yeah, he knows his sword's name, but he doesn't connect to it. Like he's just using it for power. He's not like trying to use the sword. Like, because all these other fucking guys are doing all this tricky shit, and he's just like, I mean, I guess, like, does he really do anything cool with the sword in the actual fight, or does he just hit him?
He just hits him. Like, he sees evil Ichigo doing different things with the sword, and he's like, oh, wait, you could even do that? I didn't think of that. But then he
doesn't do it. Yeah, he just hits him.
Yeah.
He just hits Kenpachi a few more times. So it's like, yeah, that takes away from it a bit. But,
I don't know. The pacing of this arc has been really weird so far. Like, I'll have stretches where I'm really getting into it. Like, the fights with Ichigo and the other guy earlier, and then even here with Kenpachi, I was starting to get interested. But then like he gets stabbed, and then this pops up, and he has to do a bit of training before he can resurrect it. It's like,
yeah, it's pretty weird, but yeah, I guess like, so anyway, as far as the end of the fight goes, okay, so what's happening here, or at least as I see it, because again, like it does, if Ichigo is stronger than fucking Kenpachi, then, or because he wins, like, well, and I think the confusing part is that Kenpachi even says that he's fighting all out, but here the way I see it is that basically he's at 5% health, or at this point, like, because Ichigo's already hit him so many times, like, yeah, he's going all out, but he's still weakened, so like Ichigo takes him out in one more hit, like that's how, like that. If Kenpachi was going all out from the beginning, he would have fucking destroyed Ichigo. like even at this point. But and the other thing is that like okay, apparently like Kenpachi isn't really going all out. Like minor spoilers, he's not right-handed, even though he's using his sword in his right hand. And so, but he didn't. He said he's going all out, but he didn't do that. So I'm like, okay.
That's a little problematic.
Yeah, like that's my only problem with it is that he says he's going all out when he isn't. Like, I mean, maybe he literally just he's been fighting with his sword in his right hand for so long he fucking forgot that he's actually left-handed. That would be kind of funny.
I mean, yeah, that could be
if they present it that way. Yeah, but so and like I mean, he didn't take the bells off of his head. Not that it really mattered, because again, that's like a handicap for his opponent if they can hear him. Because he even mentioned like, oh yeah, Ichigo's using the bells. Good, like because Kenpachi's so fast, he has to give his opponent more reaction time through the bells. Like holy fucking shit. So. But yeah, like that's why I say like he's it makes sense that he's still the strongest Soul Reaper even though he lost, because like they both hit each other at the very end, but Kenpachi was basically done as it was. So I thus far I think if he goes all out from the beginning against a stronger foe and wins, like I won't call bullshit because I feel like it makes sense, and it makes sense that he handicaps himself because again he just wants a strong fight, a good fight. It doesn't matter if he has to be like using his offhand, as long as it doesn't matter, as long as he gets a good fight, like maybe Saitama could take a lesson from that, because he'd get it, but then yeah, that's the thing is like but so yeah, I was fine with it. I think I already talked about the flashback. Yeah, because baby Yachiro was even cuter, so I'm like, oh, she's covered in blood, got blood on her hands, but she's still really cute. God damn. But yeah, Kenpachi got a good fight finally, and he even's like, maybe I should find my sword's name, but he can't. He's he's still behind in that way. But
it's funny. It's funny that you spoiled some things later, because I had thought, oh, is Kenpachi dead here? But clearly that's not the case, and that only kind of contributes to a problem that I'm starting to have with these fights. Is there's a lot of these character gets stabbed fake outs. So are they gonna die? But no, they just get resurrected later, like Ichigo.
Well, like okay, unwritten rule of Bleach that I've known about, that a character is if a character dies, they're not actually dead, because unless they never show up again. Because I guess that's how, like, it'll look like a character died, but then they'll just show up without explanation. Like, that's just Kubo.
So basically, no character is dead until we have completed the series, because they could maybe show up again.
Yes, that's exactly it.
But then the problem that this creates, though, is that I can't really buy into the fights that much, because there are characters, they get sliced and they're like splurting blood, but they're gonna live. They're fine. And you have Ichigo.
Well, for me, that
like at least once in this arc, Ichigo got stabbed through the chest, and it's like, oh, he's gonna die, but he lives.
Well, I think they mentioned the durability of Soul Reapers in the previous arc. Like he's either he's got to lose either a lot of blood or get his head destroyed. Like wounds to the chest. Like for Soul Reapers aren't that bad, basically. That's what I vaguely remember. So I was fine with it because they could take a lot of punishment. And there's a lot of like different healing medicines and stuff as we've seen. So I'll just if a character seems to die, I mean, because at least at this point, like Kenpachi definitely didn't seem like he was gonna die. Like he's just he got saved, he got rescued. It's if he was just like in an empty field with no rescue coming, even then it's like he's still like able to talk and move a little bit. So I could see him losing more blood, but it doesn't. I don't know. I didn't get the sense that he should have died from these wounds, especially because it's fucking Kenpachi. He's supposed to be really strong, so
that's fair enough. With it, but with the fight with I was about to say Renji,
that one, that one I can see a little bit because he got really fucked up.
Well, and because Ichigo even says, "I've resolved to kill you," and then he doesn't kill him.
I thought about that too. I forgot about that. We kind of skipped over that. I didn't think about that. But,
maybe there's more of a disconnect here for me, because it's not like in Naruto where it's like a magic system and they're using powers, and so like if Naruto hits somebody with a Rasengan, it's not like their guts explode. Like they just go down. They're just done. Whereas like here, characters are getting sliced up. Characters are getting stabbed through. Like getting they're at the end of the the Ichigo Kenpachi fight, it ends with like there's a pretty like deep slice through Ichigo's like side, and like the blade just like goes out the I don't know, like it's, what am I trying to say? Like, I don't know, it slices out of him and there's like a big chunk of like blood that flies out, and it's like, I don't know, it's more graphic, I guess, and so I'm like, I guess I just instinctively expect like, oh, this is a pretty severe wound, this is bad.
I think I see what, basically it's more hyper realistic, where it's just like exaggerated basically, and so it's making, you're not sure what sort of level of reality to take from this. Like if that happened in Naruto, you'd expect like, oh, that character's fucking dead unless they got a healer like right there. Like compare that to Sasuke getting his whole chest ripped off by Killer Bee. Like if Karin wasn't right there, he'd be fucking dead, because that's Naruto. It's not as goofy with, or not, I don't want to mean to say goofy. It's not as exaggerated with its wounds, you know? But I will point out that like no human has taken that level of damage, Like if this was Chad or Orihime or Ishida getting fucked up like this, I'd be like, but I think the takeaway is that Soul Reapers are just super durable. Especially because it looks cooler to have all these fucking gallons of blood splashing around, I suppose, like it makes for more, I guess. Like, I was fine with it, is what I'm trying to say. But I also knew that sort of unwritten rule of no one dies in Bleach until the series is over, and they didn't come back.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'll have to get over it, but I really don't want to be at the point like I was at later Naruto, where I'm just tuning out, like, yep, these are things that are happening. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a shame that. And of course, as we mentioned, like, Ichigo resolved to kill Renji, but Renji lived. Ichigo learned to use cool things with the sword and then didn't do anything cool against Kenpachi. Like, that's kind of a shame. And
I'm thinking also,
as far as at least the endurance levels of the Soul Reapers go, I'm fine with it.
And I'm thinking also the fights are a little less dynamic than they could be with a more flexible magic system, because most of the time it's just characters throwing swords at each other. So maybe that'll change later. Maybe there will be a little more to bounce off of.
Well, because we haven't even gotten into the Bankais yet, which are more like superpowers. So, like, because so far we've mostly gotten the Shikais, which are a character transforms their sword, and they can do things with their sword. But Bankais they get actually like an ability on top of that. So, I think we haven't gotten it. So there's definitely another layer to the combat that we haven't gotten to yet. So we'll see how it goes.
Though it is kind of funny that so far the combat has been more grounded in more just like general sword fighting, because that's the type of combat I like the most. I like seeing those grounded fights.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, but you're not into it.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think it might just be the exaggeration, the hyperbolic elements of it. But something about Bleach just isn't connecting with me when I feel like it should be.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll see how it goes in the future, because I'm a bit worried for like I feel like the rest of Soul Society, because that's the thing. Everyone says after Soul Society gets up, it gets weirder. I've heard mixed things. I've heard good things. I've heard bad things, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, moving on. Ganju and Yamada get to Rukia, and Ganju's like, "Oh shit, this is the Soul Reaper who killed my brother." Things became complicated. And what was interesting is, like, right before they come in, Rukia is sort of alone, and she mentions Kayen's name, and that's Ganju's brother. So we don't get to learn exactly what happened between the two, Kayen and Rukia.
But we know that there's something more than what's being.
There's something more, yes. Yeah. Like, yes, Rukia killed Kayen, but we don't know what the deal is. And of course, Byakuya is coming, and it's like, oh shit, he's strong. So yeah, it's like there's not, but Ganju and Yamada resolve to like rescue Rukia anyway, even though there's some shit going on. But I guess before we get to that, there's another popularity poll, because we covered like 50 chapters, like a whole year's worth of material, and this one was surprising. Okay, because Ichigo and Rukia were still the top two. That's fair. But then you got Renji, Urahara, Gin, Hitsugaya, Byakuya, like all the Yamada is like fucking 7th place, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like basically all the except for like Momo and Rukia, all the characters are guys, and you can really just sense the Fujoshi, the girls who are into the cute guys, just because Bleach is really popular with women. Like it's like it's also that's also happened with like Inuyasha and Rurouni Kenshin, where it's just like all these Bishonen guys are just like, especially Hitsugaya, because like I mentioned him earlier, and I guess people like the cute boy. And I just feel like you could really sense that seeing this character pull, because like Momo's there and Rukia is there, and especially like Byakuya. What has he really done aside from be a handsome dude? You know, what is well, Gi and you like too, but you know,
I'm
like,
going to have
we
to
finally see his face.
apologize because Discord just dropped you for like 30 seconds there.
Why? Why? I was talking about the popularity
I heard Fujoshi
poll
and
about
then it
how
just kind of stopped.
Fujoshi win. They're infiltrating our call.
Kenshin.
I'm exposing them. Well, no, because Rurouni Kenshin and Inuyasha they're similar in that they're popular with girls. They're action shonen series that are popular with girls because they got a lot of cute V-shonen boys in them, I guess. And that's what this poll showed to me, is like, because you have all these new characters who are, you know, handsome boys, and they're in the popularity polls. So it's like, I feel like you can really sense these sort of like, where's Orihime? She's gone. You know, she would probably be more popular with guys because boobs. But she's gone. You know, so I feel like that's what I sort of took from the popularity poll. What did you think?
I mean, yeah, I definitely understand that because. You know, I had pointed out with Zombie Powder, I thought that Elwood was pretty cute. Like, I'm not into guys, but even then, I could still look at a character like Elwood, and it's like, huh, yeah, that's a cute design. And then there are a lot of characters in Bleach that have that similar effect. Like, I don't know, yeah, they're good looking characters. So I can definitely see why
designs are really strong. Yeah.
I can see why it would have that bigger appeal.
Yes. Yeah.
Although I am glad to see that well, what I thought was interesting that I forgot to bring up when we talked about the first popularity poll, but I thought it was interesting how Kubo was kind of like writing off little like side stories just to like talk about this, or little sketches about you know, to talk about the, like, introduce the popularity poll. Like, you had Kon introducing things in the first one, and then you get a little skit here for the second one. It's cool. It's not like Naruto where it was just like, here are the results of the popularity poll. They're just kind of tacked on. There's this. Yeah,
it's funny to see the characters like interacting. Like, you have Yuzu being sad about how she's the least popular one in the family, and you know, the whole family reacts to it. It's just lots of little things, and the characters like getting competitive. Like fucking Kukaku scolding Ganju for like the fact that she's ranked higher than him, even though he's been in the story more. You know, just stuff like that. It's fun.
Although I did think it was kind of interesting that well, one of the interesting things was that you have Byakuya at 10, and immediately my reaction was, yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine. I'd like to see him actually have a personality first, beyond,
or do something that's not teleporting fucking behind you.
Yeah, besides just being stoic power man.
Yeah, he's also like everyone except me sucks, Ranji or failure, Rukia, I don't give a shit about your existence. Like, yeah, that's the 10th most popular character in the series. I didn't think about it like that. Like, holy shit, he's such an like, that's got, like, it's, yeah, again, he doesn't have much personality. He's only been, like, a fucking asshole. 10th most popular character.
I mean, on one hand, like, yeah, he's...
Just because he's handsome, I guess. And he does look fucking handsome. Like, I'm looking at him in his suit. I'm like, fuck you. You look handsome. I hate you. No, I don't hate him, but...
Although even then, like, again, I was talking about Ichimaru's design, Gin, and even in, like, the little suit he's got, it's like, damn, this guy looks sinister. But he's also, like, suave.
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Elwood, right? Elwood from Zombie Powder, right?
Yeah.
That's the kid's name?
Yeah, that's the kid from Zombie Powder.
He got a vote in the second popularity poll. A single vote. I'm looking at the one vote, and I see there's like, he's like right there on the bottom right, Elwood. I was just spotted it. I'm like, because I didn't notice this last time, but okay. Some other
do we
some other votes that for the one votes that are always fun is like Rukia's Gigai, like just her corpse, her not her corpse, but yeah.
Is Gamma Akutabi in
the
there
row
somewhere?
of ants, the row of ants that Kon protected during the battle, back during the row of ants, just these are fucking good. I love the just weirdness and creativity these fuckers are coming up with. The male ghost in chapter 2, I think that was like the one with glasses, like the salaryman ghost or something, just like, the Soul Reaper who got his sword broken by Chad, the guy you were talking about earlier, who's got his sword bent. That guy got a vote. Oh man.
Yeah, I just remember.
So see, it's like it's a shame for like One Piece and stuff because there's so many characters to take note of because it's fucking One Piece that you don't get the one votes because there would just be too many, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Although,
but I like getting this here. Or go on.
Yeah, I had looked at the top 50 or whatever that was shown, and then like it flipped over to the next page, and it's just like this massive list of like 1 and 2 votes. It's like, oh my god.
Right.
Although I am partially glad and partially disappointed that Kon got knocked out of the top 10, because now I'm realizing just how aggravating of a character he is. Because like he was fine in his little joke capacity. Yeah. I like seeing him get destroyed because he's kind of a not a character archetype that I'm a fan of, where he's all about, you know, he's all about the women,
the perviness and the being a dick, and he's like he's like Karo-chan from Cardcaptor Sakura, except worse in every single way, and not even a pervert. Like Karo's a good boy. He's not even a pervert. He's too cool for that. He likes food. I just thought about that sort of like mascot character kind of deal. That's what I sort of popped into my mind.
And like even here, he's picking on the kid that gets bullied in the story, and it's like, no, what are you doing? He didn't deserve this.
Yeah, that's funny. But so anyway, we're almost done. I think we should finally move on. The popularity poll is more fucking interesting than most of the fights thus far. That's a bit sad. So anyway, we get introduced to the 13th captain, who's like, he comes in, he's just so fucking confused. It's like, you can't use swords. That's against the... Oh, we're in war? Never mind. Like, Jushiro Ukitake. It's like, this fucking nerd. So yeah, anyway, Byakuya comes in, and they're like, okay, what do we fucking do? It's fucking Byakuya, we're fucked. Do our best. And Ganju faces him. Yoriichi wakes up Ichigo. And the fucking hollow mask keeps coming back, and then Yoriichi reveals his true form, and by his true form, I mean her true form. She's a girl. And I spoiled it last time because I thought it was a mistake.
What a twist.
What a twist. And, yeah, so she's kind of mysterious up to this point. Like, you know, Ichigo asks, who are you? And she's like, Byakuya recognizes her. Because she's been working with Urahara, which makes, I don't know, maybe she was a former Soul Reaper like he was? But she doesn't have a sword. So... You know, no sword, no Soul Reaper. I don't know her deal.
No sword? You don't belong in Bleach. Get out of here.
Right? So anyway, she helps Ichigo get to Rukia and Byakuya teleports behind Ganju. That's number 3. Fucking Byakuya. Like, I think of all the... Because looking forward to all the other, there's still a few more of those to go, but he's been in all of them except for the one with Kenpachi and Ichigo. So I'm just like, goddamn. So yeah, Byakuya fucks Ganju over. He
basically like skewers him. It was, but he'll probably live because this is Bleach.
Yeah. No, I'm expecting him to live, but though I guess, does this count as a teleport behind you? Because Ukitake kind of comes in and from... No, I don't think... He didn't... I feel like teleports behind you and needs... Then does Kenpachi count? It's like, do they have to be in front of him and then teleport behind them? Or can they just suddenly appear behind them? Because Ukitake does that with Byakuya. He grabs his sword so it doesn't stop. But it's like, is that teleporting? I don't know. It's not given with the same, like... Okay, well, I guess Ichigo did see Kenpachi before he came down, so... Okay, yeah, this doesn't count, I don't think. I don't know. I'm getting pedantic over a fucking meme. Like, that's the thing. It's just a fucking meme because I thought. Well, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I was like, chapter 56. Hey, wouldn't it be funny if I did a teleports behind you count? And then chapter 118. I've made a huge mistake because later we get to fucking Byakuya fucking keeps doing it, and then Yoriichi comes in, and it gets fucking even more ridiculous, and I'm just like, well, Jesus Christ. But yeah, Ichigo comes in, and they're like, holy shit, he's captain level. And, and there's this panel of him pointing at Rukia, and like, I'm rejecting your protests, and I feel like that's a callback to him pointing at her and yelling something in the past, but I don't remember for sure. But, you know, it's nice to see them interacting again after so long. And Ichigo resolves he's gonna rescue her, and Ruki's like, what are you doing ignoring my wishes? What kind of tyrannical rescue is this? Rukia is so good. I missed Rukia. She's just been kind of like in her cell and sad and stuff. But now it's like, yeah, now she's got a dynamic with someone again. And Rukia is good. I missed her.
At first, I was kind of like, wow, it sure is nice that Byakuya is going to give them this time to not even, just let them have this comedic moment. But then, of course, that's addressed later. He's like, oh, so you didn't want to interrupt our conversation? He's like, no, I wouldn't do that.
Byaku's not that bad. They begin to fight, Byaku's like, hey, you're stronger. Nice. And Ichigo's like, well, I'm going to beat you. And then, this was probably my favorite moment, of the teleports, because Byakuya teleports behind Ichigo, and Ichigo, predicts it, and he, blocks it with his sword, because, where else is Byakuya gonna teleport? In front of him? No, he's gonna teleport behind him, so Ichigo's ready. And that's number 4? Yeah, that's 4.
I will admit, that was a really cool moment.
Yes, he's already ahead of him. So they fight for a bit, and Byakuya is still confident that you couldn't defeat me in 1,000 years. But that's like a loser flag right there. Not a death flag, but, I'm going to lose. That's just, the thing that losers say, because I'm pretty sure that these two fight, and I don't think it goes very well for Byakuya. But anyway, Yoruichi comes in, and we cut to the moment you were talking about earlier, about Renji and his sword, who's a monkey. I think, isn't this the second sword we've actually seen, personified? I don't think we've seen another one yet. We've just seen, Ichigo's.
Yeah, I think so.
We've seen swords' names, like Urahara and Ikkaku, but I don't think we've actually seen the sword's spirit, except for Renji's right here, so...
More evidence to prove that Renji is Ichigo's rival, apparently.
Yeah, or going to be more important in the future, so... Yeah, because he's getting asked, okay, so... Or, yeah, because Renji doesn't want to fight Ichigo again, so... the sword wants to fight Zangetsu, but Renji's like, well, he's not my enemy, and then... Who is your enemy? And then it gets cut off, and we don't see him again for this stretch of chapters, because we're almost done. Byakuya thought she was dead, Yoruichi was dead, and she heals Ichigo because he needs to be... And, then Yoruichi teleports behind Byakuya, then she starts to jump away, and Byakuya teleports behind Yoruichi and attacks her, but then... she teleports behind Byakuya again, and I just want to fucking die. Because I'm like, here's my teleports behind you rant. The point of it is to show how much faster character A is than character B. So it only works if character A is the only one who can teleport behind character B. Because if character B suddenly starts teleporting behind character A, then it doesn't make any sense, because they should be of equivalent speeds if they're able to do that. So it shouldn't be, but what? And then Yoruichi looked like she got hurt, but she actually didn't.
Why?
You can even see her, she's losing her fucking forearm, her arm is getting cut off, but then she's fine. She's just fine. Maybe there's some ability or something going on here, but it's I don't know, teleporting, it just doesn't, every time I mention the teleport behind you on Twitter, I get that I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this, GIF, I'm going to show it on screen, because it's from a parody moment, where it's it's Byakuya and another character I don't recognize, and they start teleporting behind each other, and they keep doing it, and they end up going out into the desert. It just keeps going. They just keep teleporting behind each other until they're going away, and it's funny, and it's a joke. But this is that, except unironically. So yeah, I'm not a fan. That's the reason I meme about it, is because I'm just not a fan. I'm fine with it every so often, but this is I don't know what the counter is. 7, 8, 6. I don't know. It's just, oh man. But
yeah, because I thought it was I guess if this is going to be a recurring thing with Bleach, that'll be a little disappointing. But I thought it was cool if it was just a Byakugan. If that was just I don't remember his name now. If that was just his thing, because that was cool seeing
Byakuya.
Yeah, because you did get the moment where
Byakuya.
Yeah, Byakuya. Yeah. But it was cool, you had the moment where Ichigo was able to block it, and that was cool. But otherwise, I don't know what else you could really... So even if he's
not faster, he can still sort of respond. But yeah, it's just then you get this fucking Yoruichi shit, and I'm just okay, I'm done.
Yeah, also, the fake out with the blood, that didn't help anything, especially because I'm already skeptical on the whole blood stuff. So then it's like, oh, here's a fake image. What is this? Bleach's version of Genjutsu? What's happening?
Right? It's not even real. But anyway, so yeah, Yoriichi escapes with Ichigo. She vanishes in the last panel, and
he will be stronger than you in 3 days.
Yes, so, he said 1,000 years, she gambles 3 days. We'll see who wins the bet. So, any closing thoughts on the first half of Soul Society?
One thing that we did kind of...
The best arc in Bleach.
One thing that we did kind of gloss over, though, that I did want to mention was I liked how the conflict with Rukia was sort of handled with Ganju, because at first he's like, I'm not going to put my life on the line for this girl, but then Byakuya shows up, and then Yamada, or whatever his name was, the bullied boy, he goes out there, and he's shaken, he's afraid, he's got nothing he can really do, but even still, he was willing to go out there and stand up to Byakuya. And that's what, of course, motivates.
Yeah, like even if Ganji doesn't care about Rukia, he's still like, well, I came this far to help Ichigo, so fuck it, like someone's got to do something. So yeah, it was cool. And
I don't know if Yamada's.
So speaking of Ganju, he's probably just lying there, so he's probably gonna get captured. What happened to Yamada actually?
He just kind of got kicked aside, and he was left with, I guess, Rukia. They were together, so
yeah. So that hasn't gotten resolved yet. So yeah, a little awkward of a place to cut, but we're about halfway done with the arc. So yeah. So I guess next time we will finish Soul Society. Or did you have any other that we glossed over that? But did you have any closing thoughts on this half? Like, did you like it better or worse? Than the first stretch of chapters.
If we want to talk about enjoyment wise, I think I just had more fun with I still keep up my stance that the comedy in Bleach has my attention more so than the serious moments. Although we're getting there. Like I was more interested at least in the ideas that are popping up here. The fights were certainly more interesting in that there were actual characters involved and bantering off of each other rather than just soulless zombies. But I think
and lots of good designs, lots of cool swords. I did like Ichigo versus Kenpachi, even though there were some problems I didn't realize about it. Yeah, I did enjoy the stretch of chapters, and like I did the last one. I don't know which I like better. I think I'll wait to see the rest of Soul Society before I draw any judgments. So I apologize for forcing you to draw judgments. You've also been enjoying it less than me, so I guess I'm curious. Or at least you seem to be. So yeah, if that's all you have to say, then... So yeah, next time we're reading up to chapter 182, pretty easily. Like, this time it's like in the middle of the arc, so again, apologies for the change of number. But 182 is like definitely the very end of Soul Society, so there's not going to be any changing of that, I don't think. So, but yeah, we're getting there. We're already a seventh of the way through Bleach. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be shorter than Naruto and One Piece. Definitely way shorter than One Piece. So yeah, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.